welcome back. I'm Tonya from Tonya's Witchy Kitchen, and how are you doing today? So when I started soaping, I always heard about this heat transfer method, and I have actually put it on YouTube where I was using the heat transfer method in a hot process, but I had all the oils in it. And it is a process, and it's a different process, but a lot of people use it for cold process. Simply because you don't need a microwave, you don't need a crock pot, you don't need anything, right? But I'm going to do it today, doing the heat transfer method with a coconut palm-free soap in the crock pot. Why? Because I want to. Sometimes you just want to speed stuff up, right? Sometimes I don't have time to let my oils melt in the crock pot, right? I just want to get it done. And I hate transferring them from the one, from the container to the crock pot. I've done that, melt them in the microwave, throw it in the crock pot. Melt them in the microwave, throw it in the crock pot. But not wanting to do that. So today, that's what we are doing. We are doing the heat transfer method. So let's go check out that video, and then we'll chit chat after it. Okay, and to our soap. It's a coconut palm-free soap. It is sugar berry using the heat transfer method. So the first question is, what is the heat transfer method, right? Basically, you're using the heat from making the lye solution to directly melt the hard oils and butters of your soap batter, which, like I said before, then you don't need a microwave or a stovetop or a crock pot to melt them. Although that is really efficient, I've been thinking about rancidity in oils and how the microwave probably doesn't help. And actually, you can really actually ruin certain oils by putting them in the microwave because it gets so hot, it doesn't heat consistently, kind of like the baby bottle with the formula in the microwave. Think of that. Okay, so for my butters, I'm putting all my hard butters and oils, and I am starting with cocoa butter and I am starting with tallow. Those are my two hard butters, oils. What is tallow? Tallow is an oil in this recipe. And my beeswax. I put beeswax in every single bar I make, practically, unless I absolutely forget, but beeswax is a component. Now, as you can see, there is my lye water, and I am adding my sodium hydroxide, which is the lye, to my water to make my lye water. And it's going to be very, very hot. Now, the thing about lye water solution, depending on what you put in it, you want to mix that till it's totally dissolved. The lye has to be totally dissolved, and it's usually clear. It's usually a clear color. Yeah, and that wasn't very hot. Usually I had cold water too. Yeah, oops. That wasn't the brightest idea. But usually your lye solution will be over 200 degrees, okay? It look roughly 200 degrees. And I just pour it on top. Then I'm going to just start mixing it because of those big chunks of cocoa butter. When you get the little pellets or whatever the heck they call them. I've been feeding the chickens too much. Can't remember what they're called. But that cocoa butter is hard. It is like solid hard. The tallow isn't as bad. Hindsight's 20/20, and if I would have been thinking, I would have chopped it up a little better before starting. Oh yeah. So if you're not doing this on the fly, definitely cut up your chunks, first, and then put your lye water to it, and then hit it. Now I'm going to hit it with the immersion blender till it's all blended up. The only thing is, don't forget to add the rest of your oils. That is one thing that always worries me because it seems like the process is, you get so used to the process, right? That you forget, you know, but at this point I don't think I would have, because it's just, I have them sitting off to the side. So once it's all nice and smooth and incorporated, and those hard oils or butters are melted, I'm going to add my kaolin clay, and I'm also going to add some almond oil. It's so soothing. I don't use a lot of almond oil, I'll be honest with you, because well, my kids have allergies, and even though technically you're not supposed to be allergic to the oil, you're allergic to the nut. You know, you never know about residue. So, and that other one was that the rice? And that was castor. This is rice bran. Yep. Yeah, the first one was castor. This is the rice bran oil, and then we're going to add some, it's like, which oil was next? Olive oil. Yep. Extra virgin olive oil. That's why it's such a greenish color. And then we're going to add nothing, I guess. Oh yeah, beeswax for the end. Yep, that was it. Those are my oils and my butters. And then you just take your immersion blender back to it and make sure you get everything incorporated really well. Now most people, like I said, use this for cold process soap. And I understand why. Because if it's in the crock pot can melt it down. But I was on a time crunch, and I wanted to actually make this a hot process soap. I didn't want to make it cold process. And the only reason I wanted to make a hot process was because of the fragrance oil I'm using, which kind of gave me a shocker in the hot process. But I wasn't expecting it to be so thick, but those oils and butters, you know, who knows what they're going to do. But I think I had it on warm too, so then I had to move it up to low heat so that eventually it started cooking and doing its thing, right? And if you want to see, you know, hot process, why hot process? Hot process is just cold process, heated up to speed up the process. That's it, really. So you still have to lose the water weight and cure the soap. But it's supposed to be technically not as long, and sometimes you can put different additives in after most of the saponification process has gone through, which is why that's the nice part about adding this fragrance to it. This is sugared berry and rhubarb from Aztec, which I have done in a cold process soap. I loved it. But you do lose a little bit of the notes when you put it in cold process. So I thought this would make a great coconut palm-free soap, and I could put it in the hot process and see if those notes stick a little better, because I'm doing it after it's pretty much saponified. You know, not totally, but mostly. You know, kind of like shampoo bars and stuff like that. For my colors for this, I am using Savage Garden from Nurture's Handmade and Voodoo from Mad Micas. Yep, Voodoo is my favorite. I use that a lot, don't I? Sorry. Now, after I added the fragrance oil, the texture kind of changed a little bit on me. Wasn't quite sure why, because literally, I mean, I can't even scoop it with the spatula. Look at that. And that's because of the fragrance oil. It was not doing anything remotely close to that previously. Okay, so if you want to know how to cook it and all that stuff, I can post a link below to the hot process testing I did. I can't remember when, last year sometime. That was fun, you know. Talked about all the things and did all the things. And so I am just dividing this into thirds. So one part is going to be plain, which I could have done titanium dioxide if I really wanted it white, but I decided to not. And then just mixing in my colors really, really well. This is probably my worst thing about hot process soap, is making sure I incorporate my micas really well. Now, I did use extra oils to mix my micas, And just make sure when you use extra oils, you use oils that are in your soap. You know, there's no canola in here, so I wouldn't use canola to mix my oils up, or you list it on your label, right? But I just used, I can't remember if I used, I'm not sure what I used. I think I used the olive oil or the rice bran or the castor. It doesn't matter. But just mixed them up, put them back in the crock pot, and gave it a little mix. I actually think I'd give it another mix with a little swirl. Yep. Just swirl it. Swirl it in the pot. In the pot swirl. And then I'm just going to scoop it up and put it in the mold. Yep. Yeah, it's got a funky texture to it. It's the fragrance oil. I'm blaming the fragrance oil. 100% blaming the fragrance oil. And pound it down really, really well. So we get, no big cracks and holes in it. And then just let it sit on the counter until it's totally cool, which for me was overnight, maybe a day, maybe a little too long. Okay, so this is not, it's cute. It's not exactly, when I start cutting it, what I expected. But like I said, I think I left it sit on the counter too long because, yeah, I was getting funky cuts on that bottom edge. And so I decided I was just going to take my knife and smooth it out that way if it was going to be, prickly and obstinate soap. But what do you think of the colors? I think the colors turned out great. Rhubarb plants have that dark. A Savage Garden it's always a hit and miss for me. But I do like this color. I do like the way it turned out. The voodoo could have been a little darker, but right, it's soap. It'll work as soap. So if you have any questions about this method, just drop them in the comments below. Here are the fragrance notes for these yummy bars. They smell amazing this way. Here are the bars right after I cut them, and here are the bars when they are totally cured. Not much discoloration at all. So what do you think of that one? Do you know that person that is in your life that their opinion is always right? It's that person you call a know-it-all. Yes, I have somebody like that in my life. Drives me bat. My dad had a word, is batshit crazy is what he would say. Yeah, it just drives me batty because it's like, I'm sorry, my opinion counts. My opinion matters because your opinion is just your opinion and your thought process. My opinion is the same thing. It's the way I perceive something, and it's my opinion. It doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't make me stupid because my opinion doesn't correlate with yours. How do you deal with people like that? When they just don't listen. When they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. They want you to agree with them, but you don't. And there's lots of topics. Geez, just look on social media and you'll have tons of topics where where their opinions don't correlate. And that's fine. That makes us all different. But do you know what? That one thing, calling your child or your parent, that parent-child relationship, one calling the other stupid, but by calling them names, knocking them down, and making them feel like their opinion doesn't matter and their opinion isn't worth even thinking about or taking into consideration, that is what breaks families up. It is. So when you reject somebody's opinion, even if it's the sky is pink, it's their opinion. But how do you deal with that? What do you say to them? Because I'm sorry, there's enough things pulling families apart nowadays that we don't need to do it in our own families. We don't need to be bashing each other. We don't need to be tearing each other down. We're supposed to be lifting each other up. We're supposed to be helping everybody make their dreams come true and not neglecting and taking for granted those people that are in our family that God gave us. You know, I cherish my family. I absolutely cherish my family. So, but if you have some great insider, you know, information, if you have any opinion on this, like drop me a comment below, because I just feel like the world we are living in now is spinning so fast, it's so chaotic that some people get left behind. And their opinions matter, they matter. And you got to remember to let everybody know that you love, that they matter, even if their opinions don't align with yours. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. So 3 things to take with you: be kind, be forgiving, and be you. And as always, I hope you had a good time. Thank you for dropping by. And I'll see you next time. God bless.